UFC, the world leader in MMA. Experience it on Fox Sports 2.
Las Vegas, Nevada, home of the UFC, plays host to another night of exciting octagon action when the Ultimate Fighter Season 18 comes to a close tomorrow. After the two newest Ultimate Fighters are crowned, there's a 155-pound grudge match center stage as fifth-ranked Gray Maynard looks to begin his march toward another title shot and simultaneously close the book on a UFC trilogy with number 8 Nate Diaz. The 28-year-old southpaw from Stockton, California, submitted Maynard on his way to becoming the Ultimate Fighter Season 5 winner, but came up short in a split decision in 2010. They'll meet again tomorrow in the main event, but today they make it official. This is the Ultimate Fighter Finale weigh-in on Fox Sports 2. The fans in attendance are ready to roll from Sin City as we welcome you into our Fox Sports studio in Los Angeles, California. Hello, everybody. Karen Bryan alongside Chael P. Sonnen and Michael the Count Bisping. And guys, of course, before we get into the fights, Michael, I want to ask you, how's your eye and when can we see you back inside the octagon?
Well, apart from the fact I keep walking into walls, the eye is fine. No, just kidding. I spoke to the doctor. March, April next year, I'll be back in the octagon doing what I do best.
All right. It's good. It's a good thing we have rubber stoppers on all the doors here. All right. Now, as we get set for tomorrow's Ultimate Fighter Finale, where two winners are going to be crowned, one in the men's and women's bantamweight divisions. Chael, of course, you coached season 17. You're going to be coaching against Wanderlei Silva next year. As a coach, what advice do you give the men and women as they're making their official UFC debut?
Well, look, physically, they're going to do the same thing they've done in practice every day. The same thing they did on the set of The Ultimate Fighter, the same thing they did on the regional scene trying to get this exposure. Mentally, everything's going to change. The pressure's going to be on, and they're going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, that's right. And the thing is, this is where it all starts. A lot of people fall into the trap of thinking that they've already made it just because they get onto the Ultimate Fighter. Coming off the Ultimate Fighter, getting into the UFC and being successful, this is where it really starts. This is where the journey begins.
Well, Michael, obviously you not only served as a coach twice, season 9 and season 14. You competed. You won the show on the third season. What does it take to live in the house and, really have the mental discipline to win this?
Well, I think discipline is the key. You touched on the correct word. I mean, they've got to fight probably 3 times in a very short space of time. They've got to keep on weight. They've got to watch the food. They've got to stick to the training. It's very, very tough mentally.
All right, let's talk about Gray Maynard, though. He's evolved certainly a lot since he's been on the show. Can you talk about Gray?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Gray is a 3 times NCAA wrestler, All-American wrestling champion. So, he's no stranger to the takedowns. But in his fights recently, he likes to throw punches. Obviously, he's knocked some people out and he lands some big shots. And when you do that, it's kind of like a drug and you want to do it more and more.
He's falling in love with it.
Well, that's right, he is. But I'd like to see him go back to his wrestling more, mix up the punches with the takedowns, and that will give him more success.
Yeah, he has to go back to his wrestling. The problem with Nate Diaz is Nate Diaz knows that. Here's what Nate Diaz needs to do, and I suspect he will. He's going to stay off the bottom. He's not going to count on finding the submission. I understand that he's submitted him once. I don't think he can rely on that, and I don't think he's going to need to. I want to remind you guys, it's 3 5-minute rounds. Time matters, and you must keep a judge's decision in mind, particularly when it's only 3 5s.
No, you're absolutely right. Well, the rivalry between our main eventers isn't the only heat brewing heading into tomorrow night, as Ultimate Fighter coaches Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate each look for bragging rights when they send a male and female bantamweight into the finals. To get us up to speed on those two matchups, we toss it to our UFC insider, Ariel Helwani, on location in Vegas. Ariel?
Well, guys, the historic 18th season of The Ultimate Fighter comes to an end here tomorrow night with Jessica Rakoczy versus Juliana Pena fighting for the women's contract and Davey Grant versus Chris Holdsworth fighting for the men's contract. Let's take a look at how they got to this point. Let's start with the women first. Pena, well, she was the first pick overall for Team Tate, and she pulled off arguably the biggest upset of the season when she defeated Shayna Baszler in the first elimination fight. She then defeated Moraz to get to this point. Now, as for Rakoczy, she was actually the last pick overall for Team Rousey. She defeated Modafferi first, and then Pennington via decision to get to the finale. As for the men, Holdsworth, he picked up 2 first-round submission wins. First off, he defeated Chris Beal, and then Michael Wooten to get to the finale. And then Davey Grant, well, he picked up a win over Louis Fissette, and then made it to the finals after Anthony Gutierrez failed to make weight. Interesting to note that all the women on the show will get a shot in the UFC at some point. Only these 2 men are getting a chance to fight in the UFC. Now, Michael, you have been here before. Tell us, what are these guys and girls feeling just 24 hours for the biggest fight of their lives.
Well, Ariel, the thing is, this is the Ultimate Fighter final, and they've had a full training camp to prepare for this fight. They should be in weight, on shape, nervous, excited, all of those things. This really is the time where they can change their life Saturday night, so there's a lot at stake.
I'll tell you what, making weight was certainly a theme on the show this season. Well, another theme was the coaches. They were pretty divisive. Some people loved Ronda, some people did not. It leads us to our Twitter poll question. Who was a better coach on this season of The Ultimate Fighter? To vote for Ronda, tweet the hashtag Coach Rousey, or for Misha, use the hashtag Coach Tate, and we are going to have results later on in the show. Now, though, some sad news to report earlier this week. UFC fighter Shane Del Rosario suffered a catastrophic cardiovascular collapse at his home in California. The 30-year-old heavyweight was scheduled to fight next at UFC 168 in December, but went into full cardiac arrest on Tuesday and is currently in critical condition. Our thoughts and prayers are with Shane and his family.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. Our Octagon girls, Chrissy Blair and Vanessa Hansen. UFC President Dana White is in the building. One of the best matchmakers in the world. He is Sean Shelby. And the one and only Burt Watson bringing up the rear. Let's get you going. 10 fights on the card. We begin with an early prelim in the UFC's Flyweight division. Two fighters making their UFC debuts. Josh the Kremlin Sampo versus Ryan Babyface Benoit.
Tomorrow on Fox Sports 1, it's the most explosive Ultimate Fighter finale yet. In the main event, top 10 lightweights Gray Maynard and Nate Diaz meet for a third time. Plus, this season's male and female finalists take one last step in chase of their dream. The Ultimate Fighter finale live from Las Vegas tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1.
126. 126 for Ryan Benoit. And his opponent, Josh Sampo.
127.5.
127.5 for Josh Sampo. He has 1 hour to cut the remaining pound and a half. All right, now we get to the Ultimate Fighter Finale prelims. First up in the welterweight division, Sean Spencer versus Drew Dober.
Fox College Saturday, presented by Kay Jeweler, starts tomorrow with K-State battling Kansas and Iowa State, Virginia on Fox Sports 1. Then 25th-ranked Notre Dame battles 8th-ranked Stanford on Fox. Fox Sports is your home for college football all week long.
$170 for Drew Dober. And his opponent, Sean Spencer.
Sean Spencer, aka Black Magic, this former Golden Gloves boxing champion, now has a professional MMA record of 10 wins, 2 losses. A well-rounded fighter with explosive striking, he is coming off a great win in his last UFC outing, and look for him to continue that run tomorrow night.
$171 for Sean Spencer. All right, our next bout comes in the heavyweight division. Jared the Big Show Rochold versus Walt the Big Ticket Harris.
This Wednesday, don't miss an all-new episode of UFC Tonight on Fox Sports 1, as we get you all the news you need from inside and outside of the octagon, including a preview of the Hunt Bigfoot fight. UFC Tonight is Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1.
$244 for Walt Harris. And his opponent also making his UFC debut, Jared Rochold.
Here's what you need to know about Jared Rochold. His brother Jake used to fight in the UFC. His nickname is The Big Show. His hero is Hulk Hogan, and he got the call to fight in UFC on the day his daughter was born.
$240 for Jared Rochold. All right, moving on now to the featherweight division. Hani Yaya versus Tom Ninimaki.
Finland's own Ninimaki actually walked away from mixed martial arts in 2007 because he lost his passion for the sport. But he returned in 2010, won 5 in a row that year, and has won 10 in a row since walking away from the sport.
$145 for Tom Ninimaki. And his opponent, Hani Yaya.
145 and a half.
145 and a half for Hani Yaya. We're staying in the featherweight division. Next up, Akira Corassani versus Maximo Blanco.
This week on Fox College Saturday, it's the 28th meeting between 25th-ranked Notre Dame and 8th-ranked Stanford as the Cardinal continue their bid for a BCS berth, while the Fighting Irish look to cap their regular season with an upset victory. Coverage begins Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox. $146
for Maximo Blanco. And his opponent, Akira Corassani.
Akira Corassani, a member of my team on The Ultimate Fighter Season 14. A very funny person, but means business inside the octagon. He trains hard and he fights harder, and look for tomorrow night to be no different.
$146 for Akira Corassani. All right, now we get to the main card for the Ultimate Fighter finale. First up in the women's bantamweight division, the Happy Warrior Roxanne Modafferi versus Raquel Rocky Pennington.
Raquel Pennington is a member of Team Tate. Much like me, she tells people she's an aspiring doctor who is in med school. Unlike me, she actually is. She also trains out of Colorado Springs under Mark Fiore, who is the same famed trainer that prepared UFC champion Matt Hughes.
$135 for Raquel Pennington. And her opponent also making her UFC debut, Roxanne Modafferi.
Nicknamed the Happy Warrior, Modafferi might go down as the most well-liked contestant in the history of The Ultimate Fighter. She's been doing this since 2003, long before women's MMA was cool, and she calls fighting in the UFC an honor and a dream.
$134 for Roxanne Modafferi. And we stay in the women's bantamweight division. Next up, Jessamine the Gun Duke versus Peggy the Daywalker Morgan.
The 6'1" Morgan is an adjunct professor of composition and literature at Southern New Hampshire University. She also has a master's in literature. She doesn't know how far she'll go in her MMA career, but she says she's going to give it, dare I say, the old college try.
$136 for Peggy Morgan. And her opponent, Jessamine Duke.
Jessamine Duke stands at 5 feet and 11 inches tall, but tomorrow night, for the first time in her entire mixed martial arts career, she will compete with an athlete who is even taller than that at 6'1" and her opponent. Now, Jessamine not only trained with Ronda Rousey as part of The Ultimate Fighter, but outside of production, they're teammates as well, which means look for the arm.
135 and a half. 135 and a half for Jessamine Duke.
Aaron Bryant, Chael Sonnen, and Michael Bisping here in Los Angeles as we reset for the top 3 fights on tomorrow's Ultimate Fighter finale. History will be made when the first women's Ultimate Fighter will be crowned. Right now, though, Davy Grant is hitting the scale for his finals matchup with Chris Holdsworth.
Talk about Grant.
Grant looks very good. I'll tell you, he's very lean. Let's see what he weighs here.
135. 135 for Davy Grant.
Grant has won his last 8 in a row and is a finisher, never been a decision.
Holdsworth.
Chris Holdsworth right here, Michael. He is undefeated and a jiu-jitsu black belt.
That's right, jiu-jitsu black belt, undefeated. A tough test for Davy Grant. Davy Grant definitely wants it. I know he has his family in his corner. This certainly has the makings of a terrific Ultimate Fighter finale.
136. 136 for Chris Holdsworth. How about a hand your Ultimate Fighter men's finalists, Chris Holdsworth and Davy Grant. And now we get to the first ever women's Ultimate Fighter bantamweight final. Juliana Pena versus Jessica Rakoczy.
All right, Chael, going into this fight, Jessica Rakoczy is the underdog. Do you see it that way?
You know, Rakoczy can box, and she can box better than just about anybody in the UFC, men and women, at least if you're looking at her resume, an 8-time national champion. I do believe that they've got it wrong. I think she should be the favorite on grit and on skill.
For the record, guys, that's Dewey Cooper that is with her. He is a K1 fighter. He's her trainer and very decorated man himself.
As you said, Chael, she definitely has the boxing credentials. I think it all comes down to how much has she worked on her takedown defense and submission defense. But I think ultimately the boxing will be the tale.
132. 132 for Jessica Rakoczy. And her fellow finalist, the Venezuelan vixen, Juliana
Jessica Rakoczy has said that she hopes to fight at flyweight one time, as you see there, 132. If she can make it down to 125 pretty easily. And here we have Juliana Pena, Michael, the favorite going into this fight.
Yeah, that's right. The thing that impressed me with Pena was that, you know, she wasn't afraid to fight. She wasn't afraid to get inside the pocket and land combinations. Often with the small gloves, people like to get in, land one shot and move away. She definitely wants it. She's a gritty, tough, well-rounded fighter, and she's going to certainly take the fight to Rakoczy.
Yeah, I think the real question is, can she get her down to the ground? I don't believe that Pena's going to want to go fisticuffs with Rakoczy.
Absolutely not.
134. 134 for Juliana Pena.
Nothing like a good face-off here. The women always seem to like to get along, unless, of course, it's Ronda Rousey doing it. I tell you, both these girls look like they're in great shape. Looks like they had good training camps. Good fight on our hands tomorrow night.
All right, now we get to our main event. 3 rounds in the lightweight division. They run it back for a 3rd time. Gray Maynard versus Nate Diaz.
All right, Chael, let's talk about Nate Diaz, currently the only active Diaz in the UFC.
I'll tell you what, stay where you are, viewers, because things are about to heat up. There's a reason that Dana White gets on the scale, and it's not just to shake hands. It's for guys like Nate Diaz that need held back from their opponents. I hope nothing goes wrong but stay right where you are.
Well, they're certainly unpredictable, and as you said, Dana's going to be there for a reason, I assume, today. This is the third time that they've fought. There's pride on the line, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, and you know, Diaz looks very sucked in, guys, and I know the holidays get to everybody, but he's also commented that this will be his last time at this weight class, and he's going to move up to 170.
156 for Nate Diaz. And his opponent, Gray Maynard.
All right, well, Michael, let's talk about Gray Maynard, the bully. Although I guess he doesn't really like that nickname anymore. Is that true?
No, that's right. He doesn't want to be referred to as a bully. I think he's growing and wants to be known as more of a nicer guy these days. But nicety is not something he's looking for tomorrow night. He's going to take it to Diaz. And as we said before, Dana's probably going to have to get into the middle of these two. Chael, you said that Diaz looks sucked in. I want to know, when does he never look sucked in?
156. 156 for Gray Maynard.
One guy, we got way down that side.
So the main event is official tomorrow night. Nate Diaz and Gray Maynard. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for coming out. We'll see you back here at the Mandalay Bay for the fights tomorrow night.
Relatively drama-free way in there. Thank you very much, John, as we welcome you at home back to our Fox Sports studio in Los Angeles, California. Guys, Maynard Diaz Part 3 is official.